Okay, so I went and I looked around to see if I can find something to shim this. I don't have anything right now thin enough. And then I was going to raise this up so I can do that in one pass. I went looking for a bunch of my steel, and I found some steel, piles of different steel all over the place from when I just offloaded stuff. It's just everywhere, and I don't know where anything is. I spent too much time looking for stuff already. I just need to finish this out. We're just going to have to do what we can and then put the spacers in or whatever. I really need to round up my stuff because I was out there looking at a bunch of steel and aluminum. I got a bunch of aluminum that's just getting ruined, unfortunately. So I got to get this. I have a huge tent, plus the little shed over there. I really need to get this stuff out of the weather before things get to the point where I'm just gonna have to send it to the scrapyard, unfortunately. Anyway, we're just gonna split these motors and get this copper pulled out, and I gotta strip some wire, and then I gotta go offload my trailer. So that'll be interesting, so that I can go pick up some scraps tomorrow. Oh, we got a gap there. Ah. Realize I need to stop it from going. I was gonna stick this in that gap there, but where I really need it is over here. Nice. Okay. Wow. Half aluminum, half copper. That's interesting. This thing is just moving around so much. I'm going to try to shove this, which is about the same thickness. Yeah, I should be able to get a piece in here. What I'm going to do is cut it so it's just long enough I can have it stick out the top and bend the tab over, and stick out the bottom and bend the tab, and it'll ride up and down with it. Oh, and that grinding disc, it was a 7-inch disc, and it's just now getting down to about a 4-inch grinder size. I'm gonna go back and look at the name brand. I'm gonna order me a pack of these because these lasted way longer than I was expecting. Oh, shoot. That was dumb. Gotta get it in there first. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to get one in on this other side here, because it seems like it's still... Oh yeah. I'm watching this whole side is moving a pretty significant amount. Alright, let's do one more. I'm gonna go get some proper grease. Once I run a couple cycles, I'll wipe off the excess. Oh yeah. Oh, that's solid now. I need to grease all this up. That is solid, man. That is exactly what we need. I just gotta be careful about touching this. Okay, so this is something that honestly I should have tried to figure this out a long time ago. That would have stopped a lot of me tweaking that blade. I mean, but that's one step, and it is solid. Like, remember earlier that thing was moving around? I can't, the whole press is moving. And even down, let me get some pressure off it. So check this out. Like right now it's a little tight. There is a slight gap in there in between the cylinder and that thing. And right now it's still, like, it's actually having to push it down. Like it's real tight, but watch this. At a certain point, it just loosened up a little bit. There it went. So towards the bottom of the stroke, it actually comes, it relieves down. It's going down by itself. So it's not so tight to where the ram is actually struggling to push it and it's going to wear the metal. But it is solid. It's not moving. Now, here's another situation that I have. This plate that this thing is bolted to is not the exact size. I'm pretty sure these things are fairly parallel with each other. And I think me and Steve were rushing one night and we cut these with the torch and I don't know, we cut it too short. So what I do is I put this in here to jam it to one side. Hopefully it is squared. What I mean, like it's not twisted this way, okay? Hopefully pushing that over does that. Being that this is actually bowed like I explained earlier, this might be favoring one side or the other. Now that we have this pretty much going up and down straight, we'll run it, split one. If it's favoring one side, we'll flip it. Maybe it'll even it out. I mean, eventually we're gonna build something that, whether or not I get 200 tons, we're gonna build something that's gonna be, one, capable of handling 200 tons, and two, is there's no way it can't go straight up and down. And that was the whole idea. And like, if you look at my transformer press here, I'll show you. This thing is so sloppy, and it's probably why it's bent, okay? And it came like this. It came with just this and just enough to wrap around. Like, you can actually see like the original angles in the corners. I've welded things to it, and this thing has been broken so many times. But there's nothing to keep this thing from doing this. See this? I mean, it was sloppy from Harbor. I mean, it's a Harbor Freight, so what are you going to expect? But there's no guides to keep this thing from going straight down. And that was the idea of me welding those angles in the inside of that frame. This is basically just two angle irons. There's actually a gap in between here. You can kind of see it there. That's just two angle irons that I welded. First, I think I welded this angle here to keep them straight as possible. I welded them in there, and then I welded this support so that it wouldn't bend in. You know, if it's something's tweaking, it's gonna, you know, hopefully go straight down. And then down under here, there's a 3/4 inch thick steel plate right there, so that when I'm pressing on that, that doesn't bend. And same thing up here. There's a 3/4 inch thick steel plate that originally came with, which now that I stretch one of those eyes out, I know that this isn't beefed up enough. Okay, let's try the old girl out. Okay, we still got a couple of them off, but I'm gonna say that's a huge improvement to this. Look, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I see 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that definitely helped, and I'm actually okay with that. And that might be, who knows what that might be. Let's just run a couple more. Let's run this one. Now, I did notice this thing is still moving somewhere. That side still moved. Here's the problem with this steel thing. It allows these things to get down in there and wedge into that square parallel box. Now we got that thing stuck in there. Well, that ain't cool. But I will say that is an improvement. Oh, there we go. Oh wow, this is one of those ones that unrolls. I showed that in another one. That thing will just open right up. So for the most part, other than when the blade came back into the bottom and punched out the whole thing, it looks like it stayed relatively straight on. So I think what we've done there has improved it. So, all right, I'm just going to put this on a time lapse. I'm going to run a bunch of these. I don't think I'm going to mess with these small ones. It's just not worth trying to split them. They're going to just collapse. You know, I don't like cutting them, but I need to make something that'll hold these a little better. I mean, I don't know. I really want to split these. But there's no way of even it just won't even sit in there, right? It's almost as big as the gap I have there. I know I'm going to regret this, but we'll try it. And you know what? If that square wasn't holding that, I think that would have like really kind of delaminated down a little bit. I think this particular one, if we are going to get it, it's probably going to need the wood. Okay. But I mean, the small ones can be split, and that's what I want to do. I don't want to run a blade. I don't want to waste. You know, you're always wasting the thickness of the blade. You're creating dust everywhere. I don't like that. I do like the method of the air hammer. That's not really dust, but it's going to make a mess. I mean, some of these that are glued together might hold together better. We might try that. I might try the air hammer on the ones that I'm definitely going to cut. But the rest of them we're gonna split right here. Now I'm pretty sure now that I get back into these big ones, we're not gonna have any more problems like we did. That was a nightmare, man. right, man, we have a giant pile of these split stators. I only got 5 left to do, the bigger ones. And what I was doing with these ones is putting them on this plate, starting it, and then putting it in this jig to finish it. The problem I'm having, and the problem with all of these, is why I had to do it like I did, where I came down on it and then I put a spacer on it, is where this thing winds up height wise. It sucks. I wish like there was either a hole in between, then I wouldn't have had a problem. You know, that's literally the difference that I need. I basically needed to jack this thing up that amount and it would have been okay. Now I will say, I straightened this thing out and I was actually able to split these small ones. See, that's where I started coming in, I guess. And it was only coming 1 or 2 off. There's still a slight bit of movement. I'm trying to figure out where it's coming from. But what a night and day difference. I didn't swap the blade around because I didn't feel it was necessary. I am going to find out a little bit more once I get into these bigger ones, like how much, you know, whether or not I should swap the blade or how straight it's really cutting. But as you can see, like, these ones cut really nice. Some of them did get a little off, but for the most part, they cut great. Now, the real thin ones I was having some issues with. It's just they were so thin. And then, oh, I forgot one. Oh, no, this one's got pins. Okay, so you know, the company that I bought that blade from, they had a video. And I watched the guy do a transformer, okay? Not one like that, but one like a, you know, like a big microwave transformer, but it was copper. But it had the screws still in it. And he just put it in there, cut right through the screws. So I figured, let me just see if this thing will cut right through these little pins. And it absolutely did. Until I got down to this pin here. And that pin there, as you can see, that's where it pretty much stopped. It just wasn't thick enough, really, you know, and it just started delaminating. Let's see here. This one was a real thin one. I got most of it. I'll just have to, like, maybe cut that little bit there. This one was a thin. Now, these ones are tough, man. I'll tell you what. The ones like this, you can see I did this one. It squashed it. But I just kept on cutting through. And I think because I didn't have it in if it was in a V block, it might be a little better, but the problem is, look how thick the copper is here compared to like here. These ones, it just slices through no problem. That's a huge chunk of copper it's slicing through. I mean, it did it, and some of them it did it with no problem. As you can see, that's still round, you know. Yeah, so we're gonna move on to these here, and then we got 2 big boys over here. I mean, they're okay. They're not big boys like I've had on here. I was just watching back. I don't know why it popped up, but that big giant, like that 8,000, 9,000 pound one. I seen the video where I chained it. It was so big, I had to raise this all the way up, and I literally had it chained just to the front of it so I can pull those slats, those big bars out. Oh, someone had made a comment on it or something, and I just thought it was interesting. Anyway, we didn't put any more chips, and that's actually still pretty sharp, even though I cut through them those pegs. I'm really pushing the limits of the blade. And I don't know, like the machine that blade's originally for, I doubt it had a 100-ton cylinder on it. So it's weird, like this thing, like when I do stuff like that, I'm surprised this tip hasn't broken off. I did drive that tip down into here 3 times. Look at that. 4 times actually. It sliced right into that plate steel. Just using this to kind of space this up a little bit. Get it a little closer. That's actually nasty, man. There's like some fungus or algae growing inside that. Is that AC compressor oil? Actually works out really, really nice. Ah! Wow. I think that pump kicked down in low gear. Now that one was definitely cutting a little off. And it could be this setup here. You know, this thing that it's sitting on. Let's give that a little lube, man. That last one was a little tough. Wow, it did cut the crap out of that sideways. I mean, that's a lot. But, I mean, it won past it. That blade is actually, I'm impressed that it cut that in one pass. See, if I was set up with the right stroke, we would be one pass in these. You know, I mean, I did push down on it and then have to jack it up. But this is what I'm talking about, man. Once we're dialed in, we're gonna I gotta get on the next step. We gotta get this thing dialed. Like this is just concept, prototyping. We need dedicated machines. Then we're gonna have something truly amazing. All right, last one. The big boy. I almost feel like that last one's got more power. The nuggets on the end are like thicker. At least this one has like a guide to show us where the center is. This one definitely gonna need some lube. It just opened that right up. That is no longer. Oh. Well, those were just tacked on there anyway. Okay, well. Kind of figured something like that was going to happen. Holy cow. Okay. I don't think I'm going to get this one so easy. Oh, maybe. All right. I mean, that wasn't too bad. Like I said, once I'm able to have this stuff really squared and do this in one pass, this is going to be easy, man. This blade splitting this stuff is the way to go. All right, guys, I'm back at it. It's another beautiful day. It was getting kind of late last night. I did start pulling some copper, and I'm glad I split this stuff because, man, some of the stuff's coming out real easy. And I think the only ones I'm going to have trouble with is the ones where I need to grab it and then move the chain. But all of these ones, this is plenty of stroke. And I'm going to find my bungee thing around here somewhere. Yeah. We're going to put some small bungees. We're going to put a bungee on this foot pedal. Just so I don't forget to send it back. Okay. Easy as that. Okay. We got automatic return now. Now we can get some production done. Ha! Nice. this out a little better. Alright, we're down to these big old monster nuggets of copper. We got a decent amount in the drum already. I'll probably smash that down with the hammer. And we'll root around here and try to find some more. I'm getting a lot of prepared steel. I have all that pile. That drum's got a little. I have the transformers from the other day. I might have to start cleaning this up and getting the dump trailer prepared. Nice. These are nice nuggets. Okay, final boss. That last one was tough. Okay. All right, we're down to the last big nuggets, and then I'll probably do those in another video. I got a bunch of other things, transformers and motors I want to round up, and then we'll do them. Now these here, I'm pretty sure I was just knocking them out, and the copper's coming right out. Look at that. We're getting a nice little chunk. We'll get this weighed up, and we'll have to add to it, obviously, because we got a lot of stuff that we're not pulling right now. But let's see if we can't get this out. I had to pull the thing out. I also broke the thing, pulled the little tab on that last one. It was tough, man. Wow. Wow. Man, that one was tough. But that's a huge nugget of copper right there. Okay. Gonna knock this last one out, and then we'll weigh that up and see where we're at. And then I'm gonna go round up all the other copper I got and motors and see if we can't add a nice little chunk to it. Okay guys, that's going to be it for today's video, or this series of videos. Actually, it actually took me a couple days since I picked those up. We had a holiday in there, so it was, you know. Anyway, we have 256 pounds. Now this is all fluffy because it's that motor windings. I'll knock that down. I believe that's a 36 pound drum. So it's 220 pounds of number 2 copper at $4.10 a pound, $902. Which isn't bad considering I have all the steel from that. A bunch over there. I gotta clean that stuff up today. And I still have a bunch of copper to pull, which we'll have to do in another video. There's some big old nuggets right there. I'm excited to see what I get out of that. And I have some more on the back of the table, some small transformers, and I have some more motors over in the dump trailer. There's actually a big boy one in there. I'm going to try to get that out today so that I can utilize my dump trailer, because it is slap full of stuff. And I need to actually load it up with some scrap and some steel, because the steel is getting out of control. We got tonnage over here, and a bunch of the machines that are up in that thing are going to go right to the scrap yard. A lot of heavy iron cast and stuff like that, so we might have to do a little bit of processing. Might just use the Kubota and tear the stuff up with that. That'll be fun. So let me know what you guys think. I was out there looking at my steel. I'm going to start rounding up the steel that I have so that I can make a proper splitter. We took some damage this time around. Some of it was my fault, letting it drive into the case, but I hit that with the grinder. It's actually still sharp, even though I cut through a couple of those pins on those motors like this. I mean, it sheared through them. There was another motor here that I pulled the copper out of where it sheared it really good. And then these motors here, this is sharp, I gotta put my gloves on, but basically you just tap it and all that copper starts to fall out of there. So we'll get all that stuff cleaned up. It might be another 20-30 pounds on here, so definitely over $1,000 in copper just on them motors. And then the steel, we probably got a maybe 150-200 bucks in steel, just on that load of motors. I don't know, maybe 100 bucks. That 8 cents a pound really is not. It's almost like we got a serrated blade now. That chunk there is massive, and it almost looks like it's 2 layers. See that? Like I don't know, man. That's weird. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna clean this up a little bit, get ready for grinding. We're gonna be doing some grinding. But before I do the grinding, I'm gonna go round up some more stuff, and that way I can do all the grinding at once. So, come as far. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for our December Vlogmas, I think it's called. We're going to be dropping videos every day. I mean, we already do, basically, but you're going to see basically a day in the life of me, Scrapper. I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Watch it. Look, it's dancing. You ever seen your copper dance before?